Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Henrik Palmgren, and this is Red Ice Radio. We are coming to you from Gothenburg, Sweden, and you can find us online at RedIceCreations.com. News updated daily, radio programs, webcast, video interviews, and film. And don't forget to check out our members area, where we just added our film, Architects of Control, by the way, and you can view it right there on the website in high-resolution flash or download the file to your computer. All information about this is available on our website. And today we have a very special program for you. We are going to talk about a very important topic with our guest David Icke. We are going to discuss the Lisbon Treaty. And this have consequences for everyone pretty much, people outside the EU as well, as the European Union is attempting to grab more power from the nations of Europe who has been, I guess, stupid enough to join the EU in order to grow into another kind of super state to balance the power on the world scene, to create a non-empirical empire, as Barroso called it, however that will work. But this might actually happen as soon as this October, when Ireland is expected to have another referendum. Ireland, of course, voted no in June this year. Hooray for the Irish. And that's kind of thwarted the attempts to bring in this European constitution. Sweden ratified the treaty in a jiffy, so did the UK. The Queen, of course, gave her royal assent, signed the goatskin. They call it the instruments of ratification. They tie them in blue leather and ribbons, and the documents are now lodged in Rome. I'm not kidding you on this one. Germany, Czech Republic, and Poland, I think, haven't signed the treaty yet, but are expected to do so soon. And so this is the issue that we'll talk about here today. But before we bring on our guest, David, I just want to mention as well that David has been going around the world this year doing talks, working harder than ever before to spread the word and highlight the important information. And he's coming to Gothenburg as well in Sweden later this year, in October, I think it is. And you can, of course, find more information about this, his books, his DVDs, and the talks he's doing at his website, davidicke.com. So head over there and check it out. Very good to have you back on the program again, David. How are you?
I'm good, Henrik. Yeah, it's a challenge to keep dealing with all the things that I'm being asked to do at the moment, but it's a nice challenge because it shows that compared with 20 years ago, even 5 years ago, really, that minds are opening. And I think we've reached the point very clearly where the tyranny that has been working under the surface subliminally to most people all these decades and beyond has now broken the surface where people can see it. And this is also concentrating people's minds on looking at it rather than being in denial of it. So it's a challenge to meet all the demands, but it's a nice one because it means that things are changing.
Do you feel
and they need to.
Oh yeah, so bad. They need to change so bad. Do you feel that it's progress then? In other words, you're positive on the outlook here?
Well, I'm moving along a journey that started for me consciously 20 years ago. It started for me 57 years ago when I look back. And it's taken me through many different levels of this. There's been a guiding force that I became aware of in 1990 and now is extremely tangible and becoming more tangible by the hour in my life. And it, first of all, started handing me pieces purely by the synchronicity of my life, bumping into people, documents, books, experiences that were showing me things. And it started off with what I call the 5 sense level of this. This was interbreeding families that control the banking system and orchestrating centralization of power like the European Union that you've mentioned. That are looking for a world government, a world central bank, a world army, a world currency, a microchip population. And then it took me into deeper levels, like the interdimensional connection to this, that these families are actually connected to non-human entities. And it carried on taking me into the areas of the illusory nature of what we call physical reality. And this has now continued. And I'm now going into areas, I'm not going to talk about it yet because I want put all the pieces together and present it as one unit. But it's taken me into areas now that is making it very plain to me that there is a way out of this. But it's not a way that people might think of. It's not protests in the streets and stuff like that. I mean, good luck to people who do that.
Yeah.
But it's deeper. So I am, because of that gathering understanding, Henrik, I am positive. But over the next, 6-7 years, this is going to be a very, very challenging time, because this conspiracy is moving on fast, and the events that are going to eventually bring it down are not going to happen soon, but I'm sure they will happen within 7 years or so.
Okay, well, that sounds really interesting, and that is, of course, something we can return to at some later point when we have you back on the program, because we are going to focus primarily here on the Lisbon Treaty, and that's more in one way what's really happening right now here on the planet. And as you said, David, this process has gone also very fast, but it's done in a stealthy way, yet people are becoming more and more aware of it. I don't know if you want to lay some groundwork in regards to, or before rather, we discuss the possibility that the treaty might be ratified in October then, David.
Well, it's a simple equation, Henrik. If there's a few of you, and in terms of full knowledge and awareness of what they're doing and the goal that they are heading towards, we're talking about a tiny fraction of the global population. So we really are talking in full awareness, the tiny few seeking to control everyone else, the billions. Now, you can only do that if you centralize decision-making. The more diversity of decision-making there is, the less control any few can have over that. There's just too many points to control, and you couldn't do it. So there has been this incessant centralization of power in every area of our lives that has gone on now, if you look back, for centuries. We were in a situation once where we had tribes, small tribes, bigger tribes, but a tribal situation. And the people in the tribe were making decisions about the lives, welfare, actions of that tribe. We then went to the next stage where large numbers of these tribes were pulled together in different parts of the world into what we call nations. Now we had a few people dictating from the center of that nation, the government, to all the other tribes who at one point before that were deciding their own destiny. We now, particularly in Europe, but this is planned for around the world too. I mean, it's happening in Africa with what they call the African Union. They want a North American Union becoming an American Union. They want an Asia-Pacific Union and so on. What we're seeing in Europe is the next stage, very well advanced now, and that was the pulling together of the nations under a central point of control. So now we have a handful of bureaucrats, not even elected people, they're irrelevant. They just take their massive expenses and their massive wages and play politics and have no impact whatsoever. I mean, it's just a joke. Keep them happy, give them lots of money, then they won't complain. Okay, go away. Yes, you can have your expense. No, I don't need a receipt. Just go. We're bureaucrats here. We're making the decisions. Leave us alone. And so these bureaucrats are now dictating to all the former nations of Europe that once decided their own destiny, or at least up to a large extent more than they do now, and to all the former tribes beyond that did it on an even smaller level. So we've now reached the point where, according to media reports and all the rest of it in Britain, something like 75% of laws that are imposed upon the British people that pass through the Westminster Parliament, in theory, actually start out life with the bureaucrats in Brussels. And now this Lisbon Treaty, this European Constitution under another name, because that's all it is, is designed to advance that centralization of power even more, not least with bringing in a figurehead called a president, which horrifically, currently, they are promoting Tony Blair for that, a war criminal, and a major, anything you say, sir, frontman